Hello and welcome to Authors Speak, which is an initiative by Books Etc., the literary gift store. My name is Meera Hashmi and I am the author of this book, Gulzar's Ijazat, Insights into the Film, which was published in February 2019, along with two other books on two other films by Gulzar Sahab, Angur, which was written by Satya Saran, and Andhi, written by Sabah Bashir. So I'm speaking to you from Lahore, where I live and work, and I hope you don't mind this rather Orson Wellesian composition. I'm not terribly tech savvy, I have to admit. And I'm guessing, like most of you, we are also in some form of a lockdown right now. It's a very surreal time. And I'm personally passing the time by reading and cooking and watching a lot of TV, and also spending a lot of very, very precious time with my children, who are finally compelled to spend time with their parents. So, to talk about the book a little bit, I was I was commissioned to write the book, and of course, I was absolutely thrilled to do so, being a lifelong fan of Hindi cinema and of Gulzar Sahab, of course. Um, the book took a bit of time to write for certain reasons, certainly longer than it should have taken. But the actual writing process was still a great pleasure. I really enjoyed it. Of course, it meant meeting Gulzar Sahab in Mumbai in 2015, which was very, very special. I had met him earlier, but these were longer, more leisurely meetings, long conversations, hours of conversation about his memories about making the film, the process, the writing process, all of that. I also got to meet Rekha Ji, which was another lifelong khwahish of mine, having been a big fan of hers since I was a little girl growing up in Pakistan. And in fact, that aspect of how the film audiences in Pakistan, kept up with Hindi film cinema despite there being, a very long ban on films being screened here. I talk about that in the introduction. It's an interesting story, so do check it out. When it came to writing the book, I think I figured out quite early on that I wanted the book to sort of read like a story itself, instead of sort of, separate chapters or chunks which did not necessarily line up very well or very coherently. I did want it to read like a story, like a movie story, perhaps. And that's how I wrote it. So I actually start with Gulzar Sahab's childhood, and his interest in literature and how he got to Mumbai, how he initially became part of the film industry, how started working with Bimal Roy and Rishikesh Mukherjee, etc., and eventually then became a director himself. And then I get to how he came to make Ijazat. And so it's kind of all the chapters sort of work like a story with a beginning, a middle, and an end, that arc. So I actually really enjoyed doing that part. Then, if I, let's say, talk about the individual chapters, I knew immediately, it was kind of a no-brainer, that each chapter would be named after some line from a song, any of the songs from Ijazat itself. So I can give you a few examples. So the first chapter, in which I'm sort of setting up Gulzar Sahab's life story, or at least the first part of it, where he, I suppose, in a sense, made his space in the world, and he found his vocation, perhaps, as part of the film industry, besides, of course, being a poet. So that chapter is called Mere Nange Pairon Mein Zami Hai. The chapter where I talk about, where I write about the story of the film itself, is, of course, called Choti Si Kahani Se. The memories that Gulzar Sahab shares about the making of the film is called Mera Kuch Saman. Then the individual chapters about each of the three main characters are also named for the lines of the songs of the film. So, for example, the chapter about Maya, which was, of course, beautifully played by Anuradha Patel, is called Arzu Mein Pehne Do. The chapter on Mahinder is called Teri Do Nigahon Ke Sahare, and the one on Sudha is called Jhoot Moot Ke Shikve Kuch, and so on and so forth. Now, I loved writing the whole book, obviously, but I think the chapter that I enjoyed writing the most, and I think that my heart was invested the most in, was the chapter on the music of the film, and particularly the relationship, the friendship between Gulzar Sahab and R.D. Burman. Because I'm also a huge R.D. Burman fan. And I think Gulzar Sahab on his own, as a poet, as a writer, as a lyricist, as a filmmaker, is really up there. R.D. Burman as a music director is up there. And when the two come together, then it's beyond imagination, the kind of, I think, heights and the perfection that they achieve. So I thought I would read a little bit of that chapter, just a paragraph or so. This chapter about their partnership, their friendship, is called Do Hum Saaye The, The Music Men. So I'll read you a little bit from that. The professional and personal association between the director and the late music maker, known affectionately as Pancham, is, needless to say, the stuff of Bollywood legend. In an industry where creative partnerships often slide into artistic decay or personal acrimony, their pairing was as enduring as it was endearing. And the fruit borne by the Gulzar Pancham team remained sublimely sweet from beginning to end. The two had struck up a friendship during the time when Gulzar first started working with the senior Burman under Bimal Roy, and they resolved early on to work together whenever Gulzar turned director. Over the course of more than 30 years of friendship that followed, the two produced some of the most memorable musical soundtracks ever heard in Hindi cinema. Of the 15 feature films that Gulzar directed from 1971 to 1990, 9 was scored by R.D. Burman, including such classics as Parichay, Andhi, Kinara, and Khushbu. As a team and as friends, they had what the filmmaker has referred to as their special tuning. So there it is. And I think you can perhaps tell that I really enjoyed writing this, as I did the rest of the book as well. But this really holds a special place in my heart because their work together means so much to me personally. So anyway, that's my bit, and I would like to thank Books Etc. for giving me this opportunity to talk about my work a little bit. They also said, perhaps you can talk about what you're reading these days, and if anybody, I don't know, may be interested in reading the same stuff. So the two books that I'm reading together right now, which I very rarely do, is one of them is a very new book, and the other one is a very old book, and they're both very different books. So the first one is The Anarchy by William Dalrymple, and the other one is The Story of My Life by Helen Keller. So as I said, two very different books, and I'm enjoying them both immensely. So anyway, stay safe and be smart about staying safe, and read my book, please, and let me know what you think. Thank you.